Hello everybody, I'm High Treason, and yeah. Whoa. Really? Over 300 you said? Well, how did that happen? I didn't expect that. I don't know what to say. Thank you, I suppose. I'm kind of scared now. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to try something a little bit different today, but if you don't like it and don't find it interesting, whatever, it doesn't matter. I've got another 486 I want to look at and a K5 I want to look at. There's a couple of games I want to review. I don't know when those are going to be done, but they'll be done. And there's a rather interesting little device for the Pentium 1 that I have acquired and I was messing with yesterday, so I had the camcorder out on that. That's probably what's going to go up next. Today though, we're going to look at something, as I said, a little bit more modern than we usually do, and this is kind of a one-off thing, although I originally wrote a much longer script which you can download in the description, and if you actually want me to make the video in it, then let me know and I might do it, and I might just do it anyway in the future. I don't know at the moment. In the last video, the one about the Pentium 3, we met this AMD Athlon 1400 based system. It doesn't work very well and it's due to be parted out. Don't worry, I don't waste anything that has a potential use, but as a performance system, it just never got off the ground. I have a long history of trouble with AMD systems, and people who know me might be quick to jump to the conclusion that I actually hate AMD. This isn't strictly true. I don't hate AMD, I just have a horrible distrust of them, and it's not without a good reason. I decided, instead of the aforementioned long video, that I would make a shorter video on the worst AMD system I ever owned, in the hopes that it might help people understand why I'm not really that quick to buy any of their thing. Yeah, it's kind of strange because this machine turned out to be the most reliable of them all at the same time. It's been locked in my basement for 495 years. Meet Flandre. Flandre has been resurrected several times over the years. Originally it was labelled Amalthea, which was changed to Amethyst, then Kira, and finally Punk, before eventually being labelled Flandre. I have brought it back one last time, mostly for the sake of this video. Flandre has problems. You know, sometimes you get one of those machines and you swear it's got schizophrenia or something. Well, this is one of those ones. We just look at it now, I think this sums it up perfectly. If that motherboard wasn't black to start with, it would be by now. It's had several small burning sessions over the years. The chipset, the FETs, something there, this slot actually burnt right off the board when I left it in standby once, and it blew the SP diff on my sound card to pieces. For a long time now, the hard drive controller has only been capable of using master drives. If you attach a slave drive, it will freeze. The RAID controller does nothing at all anymore, and it freezes the system if I enable it. What the hell is RAID 1.5 anyways? The only time I've heard of that. Oh, and check out the bodge job that somebody at DFI did in the factory. Yeah, a good $200 motherboard there, guys. This voltage regulator used to have a heatsink glued onto it, but that fell off because it got too hot for the glue. The power switch doesn't always work, and it seems DFI probably knew about this, because they put power switches on the motherboard there, which would be nice if you dared to touch the motherboard when power's going into it. It actually stood in as the server for some time, this machine, for a great number of years actually. I tried replacing it many times, but each machine that I tried to do that with stopped working in the night, and I'm actually convinced that this thing killed them. Only one of the two Ethernet adapters on the back has ever worked. Both of them will detect that a cable has been plugged in, but when I plug it in, even before I give power to the machine, as long as there's electricity going into the back, every other device on the network tends to drop its connection. The internet goes out sometimes as well. It's almost like no other computer wants to talk to this thing, and I can't really blame them. If I use an optical mouse, either USB or PS2, just look at what happens to the light. It's not too bad today, but the power's clearly not stable there. But then again, if it sets fire to its own VRMs, there's little wonder really. The machine likes to hurt itself, is my personal belief. It doesn't really know when to stop. Forget the fact that we've got a broken GeForce 5 installed. Yeah, we'll run Polymer just fine. I've no idea how it actually achieves this, because it's not supposed to be possible. Some machines have a smell to them. That AM486 we looked at a while ago has a smell not dissimilar to mould. The Pentium 3 smells a bit like a school science room. But no matter what I do to this thing, it smells like something dead. It's quite foul really. It's also very loud. Yeah, you see, I have to sit behind the machine here. It's right there. You know, it smells pretty bad, and I can't hear myself think with this thing running. It's all those fans, and it is on the verge of overheating constantly. I mean, what the hell? How much power does this thing use? Well, waste. If it's turning into heat, it's not using it. That's ridiculous. If you want to make it go really insane, put a PCI card in there. Some of the caps are going to blow at some point. I actually have tried to kill this, shorting things out and running it without heat sinks, but it really doesn't seem to care. Somehow I'll actually be sad to see it break down. I think the biggest cause of problems is likely the Enforce 2 chipset. I quite like Nvidia's products for the most part, but this is quite possibly the worst chipset ever made, not just by Nvidia, but in the entire world, excepting perhaps only the Enforce 3. I've never encountered an Enforce 2 motherboard that actually worked properly, and all have had similar problems. One quirk I guarantee is that if you install Windows 98 on a machine with this chipset and put a Sound Blaster compatible card in, it doesn't matter how it achieves it, but that chipset seems to intercept anything on the addresses it uses. You won't get any sound, but what's really weird is the software will actually detect that you have a sound card, and it'll run without any repercussions. It's very, very peculiar, and I've never figured out what's going on there. And it doesn't seem to matter what card you use. I've tried FM801s, CMI 8738s, Yamaha 724s, and some crap generic ESS card, which was actually a good card because it was only £5. The SATA's never worked on any of these chipsets that I've ever even heard of, to be honest, so that's a complete no-go. As a last note on the chipset, why were they all mounted at this 45-degree angle? That's absolutely stupid. The machine is probably in its winter years now. I've spotted an Athlon XP3200 here in this benchmarking program. This is pass mark performance test. Now we can't really be having that, so let's try overclocking the hell out of it. Well, there you go. This thing will always be useless, and no amount of overclocking is going to improve it. That's when it doesn't fail to boot or reset the clock settings anyway, which it will. The sad thing is that it was really expensive motherboard, and it feels like it could have been good. DFI, despite the problems, I feel that if you hadn't used such crappy power circuits and an Enforce 2 chipset, you would have actually had a real winner here. Most of your other motherboards were brilliant, and it's a shame you had to leave the industry. And thinking about it, no motherboard from the time this was made was very good anyway. Every one of them I've ever worked with has been a complete and total piece of shit. Well, hopefully somebody found that somewhat interesting, my little rant there. You don't know how many troubles this thing has given me over the years. It's a real pain in the ass, if I'm honest, and it's a large part of the reason I do not trust AMD. And if I found it, I will have inserted footage of a Phenom system I had, which died in about 3 days. Complete waste of money, that. And that was the final straw. So that is why I don't trust AMD. I don't dislike them, I just don't trust them. And I'm not saying you should follow me. If you've had good experience with them, then carry on using them if you want. It's You know, different hardware suits different users, I suppose. And yeah, as I say, hopefully someone found it interesting. If you didn't, I don't know why you've watched it this far, but don't worry, because I will be uploading regular kinds of videos soon, although we will have a look at something I think you should find it interesting anyway, because it's not very well known about, and it is for a Pentium 1, so that's probably coming up next. Actually, you might have spotted something to do with it in this video.